Let me urge you to become women and men of prayer. And don't wait till the summer for that to begin. Don't think that your prayers have to be lengthy or eloquent in any way. They simply need to be honest and vulnerable. They need to be pointed. And just like David as he writes this song. Well, I'd love to go further in all that. In fact, I just can't look past his words here. Verse 8, you have taken account of my wanderings. You put my tears in your bottle. Isn't that a beautiful way to put it? Or they're not in your book. God is a merciful God, and when we pour out our hearts to him and tears come, he takes special note of it. Spurgeon writes this. His sorrows were so many that there would need to be a great wineskin to hold them all. This is from the Treasure of David. Such floods of tears had David wept that a leathern bottle would scarce hold him. He trusts that the Lord will be so considerate of his tears as to store them up as men do the juice of the vine. And he hopes that the place of storage will be a special one, thy bottle, not a bottle. It's God's bottle. Are they not in thy book? Yes, they are recorded there, but not only let not only the record, but the grief itself be present to thee. Look on my griefs as real things, for these move the heart more than a mere account, however exact. How generous are his estimations of us, how tender his regard. You know what happens when I pour out my heart like that? Silence. He doesn't answer audibly. He answers deep within, and you change. Something changes inside of you. As you begin to personify the humiliation of all of this, there's something, not just stirrings, but there's something that roots within you in God. And it holds you so close to him. I know how some of this sounds. I used to sit as a student and listen to men that would come to preach at the seminary, and I could name several. You'd know all the names. And yet I will never forget the words of John Mitchell from Portland, who talked about reading your Bible. Scottish, read your Bible, but let your Bible read you. And as you get into the scriptures like this, it begins to show you the real you. And write that down. Listen to this paraphrase. Be kind to me, God. I'm in deep, deep trouble. I've cried my eyes out. I feel hollow inside. My life leaks away groan by groan. My years fade out in size. My troubles have worn me out, turned my bones to powder. To my enemies, I'm a monster. I'm ridiculed by the neighbors. My friends are horrified. They cross the street to avoid me. So he writes a psalm. Just as an aside, begin to develop the practice of keeping a journal. You will find that it is a magnificent spiritual therapy. It's not a diary. You're not writing down events of the day with times and those kind of superficial things. A journal is what God is teaching you and how you are dialoguing with him. Think about getting a small, private, little, maybe even a spiral work that you can enter something in, if not every day, most days. Why do I tell you that? Because you will find that thoughts disentangle themselves over the lips and through the fingertips. Troubles that you cannot quite put into words, your journal will help you do that. And you will also find that it will help you probe deeper than you would otherwise if you just traffic there mentally. There's something about pushing words through your fingers. Don't do it on a computer. Do it by hand. It's called handwriting. And just don't do it to later write a book from it. I don't want to read somebody's journal. First, it's none of my business. And second, it's his journal or hers, not written for publication. My children have never read a page of my journal. And they've known me, of course, all their lives. My wife's never looked at a page of my journals. There are several volumes of them in my library, and they contain, I can go back to, some I dated, some I didn't, to days, and I can remember the day I wrote it when I read. This is like a journal. This is a recorded prayer. You'll learn to pray also much more effectively when you begin to keep a journal. And as he writes of this, he just kind of lets it all out. Turn from here to Psalm 56. Okay? Just a brief catch there before we go to one of the minor prophets. Psalm 56. Be gracious to me, O God, for man has trampled upon me. Fighting all day long, he oppresses me. My foes have trampled upon me all day long, for there are many who fight proudly against me. But when I'm afraid, I will put my trust in you, in God, whose word I praise, in God I have put my trust. I love that. I shall not be afraid. What can mere man do to me? And talk about the torturings of critics. All day long they distort my words. All their thoughts are against me for evil. They attack, they lurk, they watch my steps as they have waited to take my life. Because of wickedness, cast them forth. In anger, put down the peoples. Oh God. See where he fights his battles, he fights them on his knees. I love the words of the martyred missionary Jim Elliot. The saint who advances on his knees never retreats. God is on his throne, we're on his footstool, and there's only a knee's distance in between.